The idea of the session is to understand today as retailers how they are integrating the retail of the store with the retail of the digital retailing that they are doing online today. The pricing, which is becoming such a debated issue in the online space, is not the most debated issue, or in fact the most elementary issue for the retailers today. So Mr. Singh, I'll start with you. I'd like to first understand from you what is the omni-channel or the multi-channel trade that you're looking to build up with Samsonite in the coming years, given the fact that you have 400 touch points in the physical, whether as stores or through your distribution shop-in-shop networks. How do you plan to integrate them together with your digital commerce?
The day I remember when we started the first store, the offline store, way back in 2001, we never knew that the exclusive brand stores would work in India, because that was not the right time for us to introduce the product through the EBO, because nobody used to prefer to go to EBOs, because customer always believed that if they go to a multi-brand channel, they would get some or other discount. And we had tough time to establish ourselves. And today again, we are at the same point. When we get into e-retail, you have two choices. One is whether you start with a mode of giving freebies and giving discounts, offers, and create some attraction, something like that. And our product is difficult, basically, to decide everything online. So that's one challenge. And then another is the volume. The voluminous product getting shipped out or to dispatch to a right location, it's always very, very challenging. So we'll take help of our stores, which are 400 in numbers, and generating very good volume for us.
Yeah, I just have a couple of points to add. I think what Mr. Singh mentioned was very good. It's important to be able to leverage your stores, and I think going forward that will become more and more important for retailers. So a lot of retailers in the UK or in the US, if they don't want to have a full-blown store, what they have is a click and collect model, like you said. So being able to leverage your store, so like he was talking about, doing logistics from stores itself. So say, for example, we have a store in Raipur. Customer orders from a nearby location. We have someone go from the store itself go and directly ship it. So it saves us the time. It saves us the logistics. It's very important to be, as companies have already built retail and now they're building e-retail, it's very, very important to be able to leverage them and combine them together to really maximize the benefit from it.
But what is the rub-off effect?
This part is pretty interesting for us, because when we started the e-retail, we didn't know what would be literally where we are going to get help. People do not buy, maybe for the reason that they have less time in the store to browse through all the products. Maybe they are less educated with the help of the salesman, but they end up buying these products through the online, that people are buying those products which are otherwise may not be bought through these stores. So this is the rub-on effect I can see. And they're not buying necessarily through the net, but they go to the store, they prescribe, they specifically ask for, and I want the one where you can keep those things separately and segregated out. So this is where we find a lot of...
But do you actually make some efforts in terms of educating your staff or sales staff in terms of asking your store customers to probably go and browse online, or encourage them to browse online?
Actually, that we are not doing, very frankly, because these guys, they have got a very, very specific job to sell through these stores, because they have their own targets. But yes, when they get the customers like this coming from the net, they do put in their reports. And that's how we get these learnings up, that customers do come after seeing on the website and describe the product, and they end up buying it. So this is what the rub-on effect we are enjoying at the offline stores, with the help of whatever we are doing, whatever little good we are doing at the website.
But let's say if it's an out-of-stock item and the customer is anyway, you're losing that customer because you don't have it in stock, but somebody do they say that why don't you just go to our online store and check it out, and maybe we're running it over there, or something?
If it is vice versa, he has come on to the store and do not find something, then they try to understand. Frankly speaking, this is the practice. they try to understand what is the actual need, and they deliver it at their home. So any which way, that point is very, very powerful and very strongly handled. We are not generating 600 crore odd rupees through the offline stores. So it's pretty strong. And with the help of you all, we have expanded very well through the franchises as well. So a lot of help from Franchise India as well.
Okay. So, how do you kind of make sure that the rub-off effect happens for you, both the ways?
Customers like to do research before they make a purchase, and whether the customer buys online or not, there was actually a Google study last year which showed that 7 out of 10 customers research their purchase online before making a purchase in a physical store, and that's happening more and more now. Yeah. So from online to offline, there's a lot of conversion where customers research online because they can get all the information that they want. They can make decisions. They can use a lot of social media to validate their decisions, and then actually go and make a purchase in the store. They can shop around a lot, so it gives them that advantage. But we do see a lot of benefit for stores because a lot more people are engaged with the brand. People who actually have the store experience online, but then they actually go to the store and make a purchase. So that's one. But we also see a vice versa benefit where a customer may have gone to a store to make their first purchase or the second purchase. They may have been purchasing for the last 20 years from a store, but now they see that, the store is available online. So why don't I make that purchase online? So we get a lot of customers who come vice versa as well.
Right.
And I think it's as you build the brand, whether it's online or whether it's in the physical space, that it's customer sees it as one medium. I mean, the customer doesn't differentiate between the two. That's what we call it, omni-channel. Regardless of the channel, the customer is the same, the brand is the same, they have the same experience, and that's what we try to do as well.
Upselling to a customer is very difficult in a store. He usually doesn't take it very well when the salesman would say to him,
To upgrade in the price.
yeah, so upgrade the price, or let's say if he's bought specs, then why don't you buy a specs cleaner or something? So it's an upsell. But do you think these incidental purchases are far easy or being done online than they are being done through the store?
There's a human connect. So and you probably build some sort of a trust relationship between the salesperson at the store. So when they recommend something to you, it's actually easier to upgrade customers. But vice versa, online we also see the other thing where, like I was telling you, we have a whole team of trained staff who are available to customers on chat or on the phone. And when a customer connects with us, we see a higher purchase happening.
So it's the probably okay. So even through your, let's say, your counseling stuff online,
It helps a lot because like educating a customer becomes very important.
so is the counseling stuff really sales stuff?
Yes.
Online?
Yeah, they could be. I mean, they do both. Essentially, the same thing that a person in a store does. That's what they do online.
Going forward, how do you think your store formats are going to change? Are they going to become bigger, smaller, more technically, stronger stores? What would be the change we'll see in the stores to kind of help your digital commerce to grow?
The stores would never change, keeping in mind the e-retail happening, because that's a format which you have to anyway take care of it in its own form. So you have to make it viable by virtue of what is required to generate the business through the offline store, what is the business actually happening, and what is the cost of retail space. So that would always be a very, very different ball game altogether. But definitely, they're going to help us out to actually improve out the services to the customers, because a lot of touch and feel is required, a lot of interaction is required. So in those arena, we'll definitely take the help of the stores. But the size getting changed with the help of by the need of e-retail happening, that I definitely rule out.
But
at
are
the
you
moment.
going to probably digitally empower your store, so probably he can come and browse your website?
Yeah,
or
that
collection?
would be always very, very much icing on the cake. Or
Any kind of sales staff training that you will change just to make sure that some integration between these two channels happens?
yeah, not yet done, but this is something which is interesting, because you have to, the moment you get into the mode of integration, definitely you will have to start to bring them to the same culture and understanding. So that would be required.
That customers can essentially see a complete SKU list. And so stores suddenly from having just 300, 400, 600 SKUs goes to 5,000 SKUs. So we see a huge advantage in that. In fact, going forward, I think that using technology helps lend itself to newer format stores where inventory costs might not increase as much, because one of the challenges with having stores is you need to have a lot of inventory in these stores to make sure that they serve the customer well enough. With increased inventory means increased retail space and thus retail costs. Something that we're thinking about, it's still in an ideation phase, is to maybe have stores which essentially have screens, and customers can select their products, maybe have some sample SKUs. So, instead of having a 2,000 square feet retail outlet, 300 square feet might be enough to get customers to come and experience, have sales staff there, giving them that personal connect, have eye testing equipment so their eyes can get tested, they get their prescription right, and the customer just needs to come once. So they come once, they select their product, they try it out, they place their order, and it can get shipped directly to them instead of them having to come back to stores and actually pick up their order later. So we're experimenting, we're ideating, we're seeing how we can take it forward. But I think there is a lot of potential going forward for retail to evolve by leveraging technology within the retail format itself.
About the latest collections, I think that was one point which Mr. Singh had made. Do you think that having the latest collections which were online and in-store made the difference? Because, for what we've noticed is that in broader or e-retail formats, retailers or product companies tend to actually put the last year's collections or something that they were really unable to sell across other channels. So do you think that putting latest collections, and in fact, this is a question to you because you said at Jabong, do you put your latest collections at Jabong?
We try and avoid the latest collections through the so-called popular websites, because our idea is not actually to sell them through any other mode, but just by virtue of placing them on the standard price, which will not work. So because the whole USP of these sites are price. So we are not very much keen to get connected on that. So definitely the alternate left to the customer is either the website, the brand website, or through the EBO. So definitely that's, that doesn't work for us to get connected through any other mode.
And how do customers really come to your website? What are the special marketing tricks that you're playing for bringing customers on your website?
Yeah. We have a lot of fan followers. You'd be surprised that Samsonite has got a very strong, base of customers, either through the Facebook or through various other channels. And we are connected with them for each and every launch. That is the first thing. Second is that we are now getting into, we are pretty new into the e-retail. So we have started with a lot of social media activity to ensure that a lot of customers, they come and browse through and start to see the products. And there are special highlights, as you said rightly, the new product launches. We have a special highlight for that. The moment you open up the page, you get the highlight for what is the new thing in Samsonite. Like for example, you must have, all of you must have seen the TV ad where the car crash test. Most of you must have seen. And most of the customers, they look forward for such product. What is so great about it and actually whether it happens. So we have actually uploaded a video which is much more longer than the TV, so that there's a 3-dimensional camera from all the angles you can see it happening. Because it's
on
not
YouTube?
And it's not basically a trick, because Samsonite never plays the tricks. We literally believe in making very, very strong product, and that's where we live with it. So those things are becoming very, very
but
popular.
going forward, how are you going to market your digital stores?
Yeah. This is where we have to get into very, very now strongly. We have to pull up our socks and get on to the actual need, which is to do with social media marketing, or get connected with your fan followers and keep them updated, and not through, again, virtue of offering any extra discounts and everything, but make them educated about what all we are coming up with it. And this becomes a very, very strong medium. As I said, we were wondering what are the advantages we are going to gain out of getting into this e-retail. But the moment, the first thing what I ended up mentioning is, we started to sell those products which we were not otherwise selling through the offline stores. So that is one thing. Second is that people are getting more educated. They come to the store and they start to speak about, I want this, 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 and this. So they're pretty clear. So we may cut down the customer interaction timing. So many things would happen, but we're not very sure about where all and what all we are going to gain out of it. So we're going to put our efforts on and see to it that we reach out to some good gains.
So, yeah, so Dhruv, you're anyway, you've been a techie all through. So just to get your point of view, are you going to actually make a marketing strategy to market your website?
So actually, before I jump into that, I just want to address the previous question about latest collections. We have a slightly different strategy on latest collections. Whatever comes into our warehouse actually goes online immediately. In fact, it goes online before it actually reaches the stores because physically it has to be shipped to each of the stores. And customers actually are able to see a larger collection because in stores, we carry in a warehouse probably about 30,000 SKUs, 30,000 different SKUs. So it's impossible for a customer to be able to be able to see all the latest collections. Say, I'll take an example of Ray-Ban. When Ray-Ban comes up with its 2013 autumn collection, it goes online first, and that's where customers can see it. And because we believe that it's actually good for customers to see it. They might want to get it immediately. Maybe they don't want to go to a store and actually make a purchase. And if they do see it, if they do want to go to a store, I think it's fine. Price is of course a factor, but I don't think price is the only factor in customers making a purchase. It's about availability. It's about educating the customer. Those factors are actually far more important than just price. I mean, price is of course important. But physical retail or e-retail, both are very conscious about price. Before e-retail, I mean, physical retailers also check with their competitors what kind of pricing are they offering. And the same thing even now.
What is your marketing strategy for actually putting newer people to go to the store, your e-store?
As a marketing strategy, we follow a typical e-commerce marketing strategy. So we use all mediums. We of course measure which mediums work best for us. And over the last 2 years that we've had our store live, we've learned which mediums are working best, which are not. We find that certain offers work better on certain mediums. Say, for example, like we were discussing earlier, Facebook works better for us when we have offers running. Specific offers work very well on Facebook, whereas Google or ad networks might work better for certain kinds of products or certain kinds of pricing and things like that. So it's a complicated, it's a large marketing strategy, but we follow a typical e-commerce marketing strategy. What we also do beyond that is actually through our stores, where we leverage our stores for our e-store marketing. Where when customers come to our stores, we actually give them some educational material. In some cases, we give them vouchers. So what we do is we try to leverage more and more of our physical space because that's valuable. So to say, marketing space to reach out to consumers. So whether it's through store windows, whether it's through shutters, we're working towards leveraging more and more of that to build our brand.
Have you actually measured some conversion ratio you might have got through these mediums?
It's a little early to be able to measure conversion ratios. I think over time we'll be able to do more and more of that.
We'll have more numbers in place. Okay, I guess with that we'll particularly wrap up this session. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for sharing this with us. You're right, it's early days and probably channel integration. Next year you'll probably see a lot more channel has integrated and a lot more learning has set forth in terms of putting the multi-channel and the omni-channel way. So for now, I think we've already made a very good start. So thank you very much once again. And we certainly wish you all the best in your future multi-channel initiatives.